Mysteries. Good evening, fiends. Friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is Raymond, your host, inviting you through the squeaking door. Don't hesitate. Come right in. Oh, it's a bit dark. Careful, don't brush up against that skeleton. Oh, he's quite harmless, I assure you. He's only the skeleton in our closet come out for a bit of air.
The idea of a skeleton coming out for air. Such nonsense.
Oh, you mean because it's already so well ventilated? Oh, how do you do, Mary Bennett?
Hello, Mr. Raymond. Now, you tell me truthfully, is there a family skeleton in your closet?
Oh, yes, indeed. And what's more, we make no bones about it. But I'd like to really get him out of the closet. I need space to store my Lipton's noodle soup.
What a silly thing to say. You know very well that Lipton's noodle soup comes in a tidy little package that takes up hardly any room at all.
Oh.
Fact is, Lipton's is convenient all the way around. It takes hardly any time to make, costs less, and makes lots more than canned soups. And when it comes to flavor, nothing can beat Lipton's. It's a grand, homemade-tasting noodle soup with a chickeny flavor. And, folks, Lipton's is just swimming with tender, golden egg noodles. It's like I always say, you just don't know how good noodle soup can be till you've tried Lipton's.
And like I always say, tonight, put a tight hat on your head so your hair won't rise. And get ready to listen to No Coffin for the Dead. It's an original story by Emil Tepperman. And our star tonight is that famous radio actor, Les Tremaine, who plays the part of Tom Archer. Along the swanky East River Drive, all is quiet, except for the footsteps of two men who hurry toward one of the many tall apartment houses. Let me introduce you quickly to these two men before death strikes out at them. The man on the outside, the tall, blond man, is District Attorney Tom Archer. The other one, the lean, dark-haired fellow, is Tom Archer's assistant, John Frayne. Tom's really worried about something.
I'll walk you to the door of your house, John. I don't like your being out alone this late at night. Whoever's been sending you those threatening letters isn't John. Look out, John. That fellow in the alley with a knife. Look out. Drop that knife, you. Oh, you've killed him. You've killed John Frayne. Don't. Keep back, you. No. With that knife, you don't. No. No, don't stab me. Well, the devil killed John Frayne. Stabbed me. I'll remember his face if I ever see him again. I'll remember. When I began to regain consciousness after that attack, I was lying on the ground at the mouth of the little alley near John Frayne's home. A fussy little ambulance intern had just finished working over me. There was a small crowd around me, and I glimpsed the face of Detective Inspector Lambert just behind the intern.
There. Feel better now, Mr. Archer?
How is he, Doc?
I about got him fixed up, Inspector Lambert. I think he'll be all right. He's conscious now.
Can I talk to him?
Yeah, but better not move him for a few minutes till the shock wears off.
How are you, Mr. Archer? Well, pretty good. I feel like a mummy with all these bandages.
Yeah, both hands. What did they do? Jump you with knives?
Oh, we were passing the alley. John and I... John? What happened to John Frayne? Speak up, Inspector. What happened to John?
Now, take it easy, Mr. Archer.
John's dead.
They got him in the back. Right through the heart.
Oh, merciful heaven. John?
Did you get a look at the killers, Mr. Archer? Could you identify them?
Well, there was only one man. He came out of the alley. He stabbed John, and then he swung at me. I didn't have time to go for my gun, so I caught the blade in my bare hands. He ripped the knife away and stabbed at me. I don't know how many times.
6 stab wounds, Mr. Archer. You're darn lucky none of them hit a vital spot. That was a brave thing, grabbing the knife with your bare hands. Probably saved your life.
That's the mistake the killer made, leaving me alive. I've seen his face. I'll catch up with him, if it takes the rest of my life. I was a bit shaky on my feet when Inspector Lambert and the intern helped me up. But I insisted on going over to where the body of John Frayne lay, covered with a white sheet. And then I saw Susan, leaning against the great comforting bulk of old Mrs. Hogan, her housekeeper. She was looking down at the shroud that covered her husband's body.
It was God's will, Mrs. Frayne.
Susan.
Oh, Tom. Tom, I can't believe it. John.
Be brave, Susan. John's dead. Nothing I can say will replace him.
Have you any idea who the murderer is?
I saw his face for a moment, that's all. But I'll recognize it again, I'm sure.
Mr. Archer, here's something we found in the alley.
What is it, Inspector?
Looks like the charm off a watch fob. It's broken off.
A charm? Well,
You recognize it, Mrs. Frayne?
Oh, no. No, it can't be. It can't be.
no, of course not, Susan. There are hundreds of watch charms like this one.
What is it, Mrs. Frayne?
That watch charm. My younger brother, Peter, wears one just like it.
Oh?
Oh, nonsense, Lambert. You can buy those in any jewelry store. Besides, I saw the killer's face. It wasn't Pete. Mrs. Hogan,
Yes, Mr. Archer?
please take Mrs. Frayne upstairs now.
That I'll do. Come along, darling.
I'll see you later, Susan.
Oh, please stay here, Tom. You're hurt. All those wounds.
I'll be okay. Right now, I've got to go downtown with Inspector Lambert and look at pictures while that murderer's face is fresh in my mind. At headquarters, I looked through hundreds of pictures in the Rogues Gallery. It was just 2 hours before I came upon the photograph. Lambert, this is our man.
You're sure?
Positive. I'll never forget that face. Turn it over. Let's see the name, quick.
Right. Bart Hogan. Good heavens.
Bart Hogan. That would be the son of old Mrs. Hogan, the Frayne housekeeper. Lambert and I both remembered the case of Bart Hogan. It went back 5 years before John Frayne had married Susan. Bart Hogan had lived with his mother, both working for Susan's father. One day, Bart Hogan had snatched up a kitchen knife and attacked Susan's father with mad fury. Only John's lucky arrival had saved the old man. John subdued Bart Hogan. The mad youngster had been committed to the state asylum for life. But he had escaped 7 months ago. Nobody had heard from him since then. Until tonight.
Great Scott. So that murderous kid has come back after all these years to get his revenge.
I'm going back to the Frayne house. I want to talk to Mrs. Hogan.
You think you might know where our son can be found?
Who knows? I'll talk to her anyway.
By the way, Mr. Archer,
Yes?
while you're up there, suppose you just kind of check on whether Brother Pete has lost his watch charm.
The Fraynes occupied a top-floor duplex in the riverfront apartment house. I took the elevator up, and Mrs. Hogan admitted me.
I'll take your hat and coat, Mr. Archer.
Thank you. Mrs. Hogan, where's your son, Bart?
Bart? Well, why'd you ask after Bart?
Have you seen or heard from him since he escaped from the state asylum?
What makes you ask that?
Mrs. Hogan, there's reason to believe that the person who attacked us in the alley is your son, Bart.
Oh, no. Never say that, Mr. Archer.
I'm afraid it's true.
No, it couldn't be. I swear to you, it couldn't be Bart.
Why not?
I can't tell you why. But it wasn't Bart, I'm sure.
What makes you so sure? You know where he's been hiding since his escape? You know where he is now?
Heaven help me.
If you know where he is, you must give him up.
But he didn't do it. He didn't.
Believe me, Mrs. Hogan, I understand how you feel. But it'd be far better for Bart to go back to the state asylum than to be hunted for this new crime. If he didn't do it.
Mr. Archer, if I prove to you that Bart couldn't have done it, would you let him be? Not make him go back to the asylum?
I don't know what to say. You see, I was downtown just now, and I recognized the picture of the man who attacked us. It turned out to be your son. There's very little chance that I was mistaken.
But if I prove he couldn't have done it?
How can you prove it?
Well, come, I'll show you.
Her usually ruddy face was drained of blood as she led me up the stairs to the upper floor of the duplex, and then along the hall to her room.
I always keep the door locked. Go inside, please.
Oh, I don't see anything in this room, Mrs. Hogan.
Well, over here, please, the closet.
Is that you, Ma? Is that you?
It's all right, Bart, darling. I brought a good friend.
Good heavens. You've been hiding him here in this closet?
For 7 months now. When he escaped from the asylum, he came here. I cleared out the closet. It just holds the cot. He lies in there night and day.
Where's he, Ma? Why'd you bring him? What's he want?
Don't be afraid, Bart. Mr. Archer won't hurt you. He wants to ask you some questions.
Bart, have you been out of this room tonight?
Out? Me? Not a chance.
He tells the truth, Mr. Archer. Here, I'll pull the blanket back and show you the proof. There. Look at his legs. He was shot in both legs when he escaped from the asylum. I couldn't get medical attention for him, and the wounds never healed properly.
I see.
You must believe me now, Mr. Archer. Bart couldn't be one who attacked you, because, well, he'll never be able to walk as long as he lives.
Well, now, if Bart Hogan didn't do it, and mind you, I said if, then who did kill poor John Frayne? Well, whoever killed him must have been a rather cheerful person because he took life so cheerfully.
Cheerful indeed. Mr. Raymond, you've always had such gruesome thoughts on your mind, you wouldn't recognize something cheerful if you met right up with it.
Oh, now, Mary, aren't you being a bit unfair?
No, I'm not. You just don't know what folks like. But you listen to me, because I'm going to make a suggestion that'll please everyone.
All right.
Folks, if you want to give the boys overseas a real taste of home, why not send them a package or two of Lipton's noodle soup? It's so easy to do. You don't even need a request slip. You know, a bowl of hot soup makes a mighty good snack for the boys. And when they receive Lipton's noodle soup mix, they're getting that old-fashioned kind of chickeny-tasting noodle soup. So send a package or two of Lipton's to your favorite serviceman.
That's a terrific suggestion. And here's another thing that pleases me. There seems to be plenty of murder ahead in tonight's story. You remember that pretty little girl, Susan? Well, looks like she's next on the murderer's list. How about that, Tom? Come on, tell us more. And don't spare the gore.
When I entered the living room on the lower floor, a few minutes later, Susan and Peter were there with Arnold Matson, the lawyer.
Hey,
tell you this is a serious problem, Susan, and we've got to find an answer to
But
it.
there is no answer, Mr. Madsen. Oh, Tom, thank heaven you've come at last.
Hello, Susan. Hello, Peter.
Hi.
You know Mr. Madsen, of course.
Of
Yeah.
course. I understand, Mr. Archer, that you narrowly escaped the same fate as poor John.
Well, I was lucky.
Those bandages must be a nuisance.
I can stand them. Bandages are better than a shroud. By the way, Peter, that looks like a new watch charm you're wearing.
What, this? Oh, I lost the other one someplace, so I bought a new one. What of it?
Oh, nothing. Mr. Matson, when I came in, you were saying something about a serious problem.
Exactly. As you know, Susan's father left an estate of $1.25 million in a trust fund to be paid to Susan on her 23rd birthday.
Yes, I know. And she'll be 23 next month.
But there's a proviso in the will, Mr. Archer. In order to receive the inheritance, Susan must be married and living with her husband on that date.
Please, Mr. Madsen, I don't want to talk about the money.
Yes, but don't you see? You'll lose it all. The will distinctly says that you must be living with your husband. If not, then the money goes to 8 charities, except for $50,000 to Peter.
I don't care. I don't care what happens to the money. Without John, it doesn't matter.
Well, Peter, it'll be a break for you.
What do you mean by that, Mason?
Well, there's no need to become enraged, Peter. I only pointed
Oh, you
out...
filthy rat, I'll show you what I mean.
Look out, take it easy, Pete.
Go. All right. Take your hands off me. Why are you looking at me like that? You look as if you thought I killed John. Well, say it. Why don't you say what you think?
Better cool off a little, Pete. This is no time for a scene.
Yeah? For that matter, Tom Archer, what about you? You'd like to marry Susan yourself, wouldn't you?
Why, you rotten little...
You better cool off a little, Tom. This is no time for a scene.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, Peter, you're right. I would like to marry Susan. You know that, don't you?
Yes, Tom, I know.
You two look at each other like a couple of puppies in love. I'm going to get a drink. And nuts to the 50,000.
Right, George, I've got it.
Got what, Mr. Matson?
The solution to our problem.
What are you talking about?
That's it, don't you see, Susan? You can marry Tom Archer here, and then you'll be able to legally claim the estate on your birthday.
Well, that's a pretty callous thing to suggest, Matson.
Callous? I'm a lawyer. It's my duty to protect my client.
I couldn't do it.
Of course not. Look here, Susan. Is there anyone else in the world who would benefit by John's death?
I don't know. I can't think.
Oh, what's the difference? Are you still looking for clues, Archer? You know who the murderer is, young Bart Hogan. Why look further?
Bart Hogan?
Matson, how did you know about Bart Hogan?
What do you mean?
Well, I just come from Inspector Lambert's office. There was nobody present when we found Hogan's picture. How did you know about it?
Well, it's really quite simple. I phoned headquarters a little while ago, and Inspector Lambert told me. What's that?
Peter.
Archer, come quick, in the kitchen.
Come along, Matson, quick.
Yes.
You stay here, Susan. All right, Pete, take it easy. We're coming.
Down the hall, in the kitchen.
Get hold of yourself.
You open the door. I can't.
Look, go ahead, Archer. Open it. Huh? Good heavens.
It's Mrs. Hogan. She lay on the kitchen floor on her back, with blood all over her clothes. The blood came from a gaping knife wound in her throat, and the knife lay on the floor alongside her.
I found her that way.
Her body's warm. She was killed within the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Then the killer's running loose somewhere in the house.
Susan, she's alone.
Good heavens. There, on the floor.
Susan, darling.
Is she dead?
No, she's only fainted. The shock.
Oh,
It's all right, Susan.
what happened? Was it Mrs. Hogan?
Yes.
Who?
We don't know. But the killer's in the house.
That madman is liable to kill us all, one at a time. I have a revolver. Let's search the house.
Right. Matson, you go in the kitchen and stand guard over that knife. There may be fingerprints on it.
Very well.
Peter, you stay here with Susan. Here's my gun. Don't be afraid to use it.
Wait just a minute.
What is it, Matson?
Has it occurred to you the killer may be One of us.
One of us? What are you looking at me for?
You were out of this room for quite a while.
Why, you are... I'll kill you!
Look out, the gun! Drop that gun, Peter! Drop it!
That's better. I'll take the gun.
He was going to shoot me.
Sorry. I lost my head.
Susan, I'm sorry you have to go through all this. Everybody's on edge. There's a killer loose in the house, and we've got to find him.
Yes, Tom. I know you'll do whatever's right.
I'll try. You two. You can both stay here with Susan. I'll search the house myself. Manson, call the police.
Yes, but how can you hold the gun with your hands all bandaged? You can't pull the trigger.
I'll use it as a club. All right, now. Don't move out of this room till I return.
Be careful, Tom. You mustn't let anything happen to you, too.
I went slowly up the stairs to the upper floor, gripping the gun by the barrel in my bandaged hand. At the end of the hall, I stopped before the door of Mrs. Hogan's room. I opened the door with the keys. Inside the room, the closet door was open. Bart Hogan was still lying on his cot. He must have been expecting me. His eyes were wild with terror. He had a long pencil clutched in his right hand, the only weapon he could find to use against me. His left fist was clutched into a tight ball. He watched me, stiff with fear, as I moved slowly toward him, across the room.
Keep away from me.
I had no time to waste on him. I swept aside the fist that clutched the pencil
Help!
and brought the revolver butt down hard on his forehead. I went over to the window, opened it. Then I went back to the bed and pulled the sheet, pulled it away, lifted him. His weak and withered legs dangled uselessly. I carried him over to the window, rested him against the sill. He opened his eyes. He was recovering from the blow. I didn't wait. I pushed hard. He went toppling out of the window. I leaned over and saw the body strike against the 10th floor setback, then go hurtling into the air and smash down upon the pavement far below. There wasn't enough of him left to perform an autopsy on. They'd never know his legs had been no good, that he hadn't been able to walk. Everything would be easy sailing from here on. Susan would marry me to save the estate. $1.25 million. Oh, I'd been clever enough. When I called out that fake warning at the mouth of the alley, I myself stabbed John in the back. Then I slashed myself up. They'd taken my story at face value, Lambert and the others. I'd guessed that Mrs. Hogan was hiding Bart, but just as a precaution, I'd stolen Peter's watch chain and dropped it at the scene of the crime in case I should need another suspect. But when I found Bart couldn't walk, it became necessary to kill Mrs. Hogan, too, for she was the only one who could tell the police that Bart hadn't been able to walk. All I had to do now was go down and say I'd found Bart, we had fought, and he had fallen from the window. The perfect crime. I took one more last look down into the street, where a crowd had gathered around Bart's body. I was able to make out the figure of Inspector Lambert, bending over what was left of him. And I saw Lambert force something out of the clenched left fist of the dead body. In a flash, I remembered that feeble little pencil with which Bart had tried to defend himself. I pulled in my head from the window and glanced across to the closet. I saw it at once. A small white scratch pad. I rushed across the room and snatched up the pad. And there, on the topmost page, were the indentations of what Bart Hogan had written on the page and then had torn off. I could read it clearly. I could almost imagine his terrified voicing of the frightened appeal as he wrote it.
Archer was here. He means to kill me.
He wants them to think I killed John Frayne. That I can't walk. I've got 2 bullets in my legs. For God's sake, save me.
Bart had written that note, meaning to throw it out the window. But I had come back too soon for him. And I had thrown it out of the window for him. I went back to the window and looked down. I saw Lambert peering up. Then he turned away and hurried toward the entrance of the building. He's coming for me. There's only one thing for me to do now. I've locked the door. It'll take time to break it down. In the meantime, I've taken the bandage off my right hand. I'm writing a full account of tonight's work. I gambled for a fortune, and I lost.
Oh, dear. And I loved that boy so. Yes, sir, he seemed like such a nice young man. Well, his trouble was he tried to commit the perfect crime without first practicing up on minor crimes. He should have started by stealing watermelons and maybe tried his hand at robbing mail trains.
Mr. Raymond, what are you suggesting? And just when I was getting ready to tell people to send a bowl of soup to the boys overseas.
Wouldn't the soup get cold by the time it arrived?
Oh, of course not. Why, Lipton's noodle soup mix comes in a flat package. You simply send it along to your favorite soldier. And he'll be pleased by your little gift because this noodle soup is just like a taste of home. So enclose a package or 2 of Lipton's the next time you write to him.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry you have to go so soon. But drop in again next Tuesday for another little blood fest. You know, some people have to commit murders to get a kick out of life. Others get their satisfaction from listening to Inner Sanctum. But, word of advice. If you've got to commit a murder, please don't get yourself caught. Because if you do, you'll surely get a free ride with the only person never bothered by backseat drivers. I mean that they're hearse drivers. By the way, this month's Inner Sanctum Mystery novel is A Time to Die by Hilda Lawrence. Now, I guess it's time to close that there squeaking door until next week when Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup bring you another Inner Sanctum Mystery directed by Hyman Brown. So until then, good night. Pleasant dreams.
Folks, here we are outside the squeaking door. And I guess we're all pretty shaken up after hearing about those murders. But I know just the thing that'll put us back to normal again. It's Lipton tea. Yes, a cup of that brisk Lipton tea would do just fine. And did you notice that word brisk? B-R-I-S-K. It's a mighty important word in tea language. The tea experts always use it. It means that Lipton tea has a lively flavor. It's never wishy-washy. That's why most folks prefer Lipton's to any other kind. Now, don't forget, that's Lipton tea. And don't forget to tune in again next Tuesday night to Inner Sanctum.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup presents Inner Sanctum Mysteries, starring Miriam Hopkins. friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is your host, Raymond, ready as always to provide you with your weekly ration of screams, gurgles, and blood. All in a spirit of gentle fun. I have no other object in mind, except to reduce you to sniveling wrecks of nerves and shudders. Have you got a white sheet handy? You might wrap it around yourself in case a ghost shows up. You'll think you're in the business and pass right on through you.
Now, Mr. Raymond, don't be so silly. You know there are no such things as ghosts.
Who said that? Oh, hello, Mary Bennett. So you don't believe in ghosts, huh? And, what's that standing behind you, huh?
Oh! Oh, you shouldn't have done that, frightening me that way. Shame on you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. Can I make amends?
Well, you might tell the folks how much you enjoy Lipton tea.
Oh, gladly. Friends, just the other day, a ghost and I were having a conversation about Lipton tea.
Now,
and...
here. Enough of that. Nobody is interested in what you and the ghost said about Lipton tea.
Oh.
No. Let's talk about real people and the solid pleasure they get from Lipton. They drink it at meal times. They serve it when friends drop in for a visit. And, of course, they often brew themselves a cup of Lipton's during the day, just because it's so nice to relax and enjoy that famous brisk flavor. Oh, by the way, that word brisk, B-R-I-S-K, is one that tea experts use. Brisk means that Lipton's always tastes tangy and bracing. It's never flat or wishy-washy. Yes, you just don't know how good tea can be until you know how good Lipton's is.
Okay, Mary. Suppose you go fry me a cup of tea. But keep the kitchen door open because you're about to hear the story of the Bog Oak Necklace. It's an original radio play by David Driscoll. And our heroine tonight is that beautiful star of stage and screen, Miss Miriam Hopkins, who'll play the role of Emily. Now, be calm. There's nobody standing behind you. At least nobody you can see. At the edge of a lake, in a small New England town, two men are busy digging an excavation.
Must have been like a cave around here once, huh?
Yeah, old Miss Bristow used to own this property before she sold it to this here city man who's building.
Used to be a fine apple orchard right up there. And was all fine trees once.
Well, let's dig. That's what we're getting paid for.
What's the matter with you, Paulie?
Look down there what I just hit with my shovel.
Huh? Oh, bone. Oh, some cow, I expect.
Cow? That ain't no cow bone, Jerry.
Hey, Paulie.
Huh?
Look at this with the bone.
Yeah, I see it. And you call it a cow bone now?
No, I don't.
This here must have been a graveyard once.
This here was never no graveyard. The river used to come right up to here almost before the big flood. Before they built the dam.
Hey, what are you doing?
Get your coat and hat.
You bringing that with you?
Of course I am. Hat and this.
Yeah, but there must be a skull here, too.
Of course there must be. But we don't have to look for that, Paulie. That ain't our job. Come on.
Jerry and me was digging away there, Mr. Warren, down towards the river. And all of a sudden, Jerry kind of yelled. And when I asked him what's the matter, he shows me this leg bone. So I looks and there's the skeleton right at his feet.
I see.
So I figure you being the county attorney here, you're the man who ought to know first.
Yes. Now, this place by the river that you're talking about, it's the land that city man bought to build a home on?
Yeah, that's right. He bought it from old Miss Emily Bristow. And then we found this, too. Around the... Well, I guess you'd call it the neck. That is where the neck would be. Is there anything wrong, Mr. Warren?
Where did you say you found this bone and this necklace?
Well, Jerry and me is making a trench for a water pipe, and we're digging where the old riverbank used to be. Right near the river edge.
Leave the necklace with me. If I need any more help, I'll get in touch with you. That's all.
Yes, sir. 40 years. 40 years. Emily Bristow.
What do you want with me after 40 years, Andrew?
Look, Emily.
Well, these are old woman's eyes.
Look closer.
Take that away. Take it away.
The bark oak necklace, Emily. Do you remember? Presented to Miss Emily Bristow on her 24th birthday by Andrew Warren.
Where did you get it, Andrew?
It was found at the river edge on the property you've just sold.
Daisy. Daisy.
It's come back to us, Emily. After all these years. It's come back to us. The bark oak necklace. The necklace that meant the death of your sister, Daisy.
Oh, Andrew. Oh, Andrew, darling.
Daisy, there aren't two people anywhere as happy as we are.
Of course not. May I tell Emily?
Why, yes, I suppose so. After all, she's your sister. She should know. Good night, darling.
Look at that moon.
Smiling at you.
Oh. I'm going to close my eyes, and I won't open them until you're down the road out of sight.
Good night, sweetheart.
Oh. Good night. Good night, sweetheart. Good night, moon. Oh! Young ladies shouldn't stand staring at the moon that way. Oh, Emily. You frightened me so. Did I? You had a nice drive with Andrew in the moonlight, I hope. Mm-hmm. Emily. Andrew. Yes? Andrew and I, we're... Oh, darling. How will I ever stop my heart from beating so? I can't. Let me say it for you. You're engaged. There you are. It was easy, wasn't it? For you? You've no idea how easy it was for me.
Emily.
Right here.
Emily. I wanted to see you so badly.
She's already told me, Andrew.
Emily, I want you to understand about this. I know how this must hurt you.
You've got to break it off. You've got to. You can't marry her. Andrew, listen to me. Please. Please marry me. I beg you.
Emily, we must be sensible.
I beg you.
If you love me, Emily, you must let me do what I feel is right.
I can't let you marry Daisy. You're mine. I must have you. If not me, Andrew, no one. No one else at all.
It's too late now. Forgive me.
I'll never forgive you. And I'll never let you go.
Emily.
Never. Never. Never.
Emily? Emily, are you asleep?
Go to bed, Daisy.
Oh, Emily, don't be cross. I can't sleep.
You can't sleep.
No, I'm so excited. Why, Emily, you're still dressed, too.
Oh, so I am.
What's the matter, dear? Don't you feel well?
Oh, I feel very well. Thank you, Daisy.
Emily, what's the matter? Why do you use that tone with me? Oh, darling, you're not feeling well, are you? I can tell by the look on your face. Oh, come on. Come on out into the night. The moon is full, and let's walk up to the apple orchard. After all, Emily, even though we're going to be separated, it won't be forever.
Aren't you afraid to be out here at night?
Afraid? Afraid of what?
We are at the end of the apple orchard. There's the little patch that goes down the river. I think you'd better go back now.
I go back? Well, what'll you do?
I'm going to stay here.
I wouldn't dream of going back to the house alone.
I thought you weren't afraid.
All alone? Of course I'd be afraid all alone.
Daisy, I don't want you to marry Andrew.
Emily. You know what you've just said?
Certainly.
Why, Oh, Emily, I'm surprised at you. Well, you're jealous.
That's right. I want you to write to Andrew and tell him that you've thought it over and that you've decided you don't love him and you're not going to marry him.
How dare you speak to me that way? Now get out of my way. I'll never talk to you again as long as I live.
Have you thought that you mayn't have very long to live?
Emily! Emily, I'll scream.
No, you won't scream. You won't scream at all, and do you know why? Down in that little pigeon heart of yours, you're frightened.
Frightened? Let go of my arms. You're hurting me. You're out of your mind, Emily.
I'll let you go when you promise to write that letter.
I promise, Emily. Now let go of me.
As soon as we get back.
Yes.
And don't you dare breathe a word of this to anyone ever as long as you live.
I promise.
Now, I think we understand who loves Andrew.
Yes.
I'll let you go. You don't know how close you came. Come back here, Daisy. You'd run away, would you?
Emily! Emily, I wasn't running away. Please let me go.
Oh.
What are you doing with that necklace? Emily, no!
I knew I couldn't trust you. I knew I never should have told you.
Help! Stop, Emily! You're choking me. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Well, girls will be girls, I suppose. That's kind of pity about little Emily, though. Just think what a wonderful hangman she'd have made if she'd been born a girl. Kind of cute, huh? Being taken for a little swing by a girl.
What a terrible woman she is, Mr. Raymond.
Oh, now, listen, I like Emily. She's so inventive. Most women will do anything for a necklace, but only Emily knows what to do with a necklace.
Now, please. You know very well that the only thing you can do with a necklace is wear it.
Oh, yeah? Well, the only thing you can do with Lipton tea is drink it.
Well, what's wrong with that? And, Mr. Raymond, maybe you don't realize how often folks do drink Lipton tea. Why, it's the perfect beverage for so many occasions. And that's why it makes sense to have a good supply on hand, to buy the larger, more economical size packages. And it is more economical that way, too. Oh, yes. It's wise to have a large size package of Lipton tea on your shelf because that well-known brisk flavor, that bracing, full-bodied taste, makes Lipton's always welcome.
That gives me an idea. Maybe we should have had Emily and little Daisy talk out their quarrel over a cup of Lipton tea. Oh, man, that'd be chummy. But it's too late now. Daisy is stretched out on the ground with a bog oak necklace twisted tight around her neck. She's not sleeping now. She's just dead to the world. So, let's get back to our star, Miss Miriam Hopkins, who plays the role of Emily.
Daisy, get up. Get up this minute and stop teasing me. You're not hurt that bad, and you know you're not. Please get up, Daisy. You're frightening me. Daisy. Daisy, you're acting just as though you were dead.
I am dead, Emily. You murdered me. You strangled me with the bog oak necklace.
You see, you wouldn't be talking to me if you were dead.
You've killed your own sister, Emily, because you were jealous.
That voice, that's Daisy's voice. But your lips are not moving. How can you be speaking to me, Daisy, when your lips are not moving?
They'll find me here in the orchard with your necklace around my neck. And they'll know you did it. And they'll punish you. You'll never be allowed to marry Andrew.
I will marry him. I will. Oh, what am I saying? Who am I talking to? Somebody's speaking to me with Daisy's voice.
And all your life I'll be speaking to you. Just like this. Because you murdered me with the bog oak necklace.
I must do something. I must get some help. Somewhere I must get some help. She can't be dead. I just pulled the necklace a little bit, not tightly at all.
You pulled it very tightly, Emily. Look at my neck and you'll see. You'll see how tightly you twisted the necklace.
Stop it. Stop talking to me.
I'll never leave you, Emily. Never as long as you live.
You are dead, aren't you? I murdered you. Something dreadful will happen to me. I've got to do something. What can I do? The river. I'm near the river. Stones, yes. With twine. Strong twine wound around the stones, and I could tie the stones to her, and I could throw her into the water from the crag on the hill, and the stones would make her sink to the bottom, and then she'd never come back. Never. And who would know?
You know, Emily.
Maybe when I get back to her, she'll be moving and I'll talk to her. No, she is dead. She is... Oh, I'm running in the wrong direction. It was over there that I killed her. It couldn't have been because she's not there. It was right here. Daisy's gone. She got up and walked away somewhere. She's alive.
Emily.
Oh.
I found her, Emily. Strangled to death.
I know nothing about it.
What are you doing then with that twine in your hand? You wanted to tie stones to her, didn't you? Throw her in the river.
I killed her because I was jealous. You're as guilty as I am. Because you should have married me.
Yes, I am as guilty as you are. What will become of me now? All my hopes, my ambitions.
If we can get rid of the body, then we can get married after all. It'll only take a little while for people to forget, and then we can go away somewhere. Begin
I never want to
over.
look at you again as long as I live. I hate you. I came back here to speak to you again. I wanted to tell you I'd done a wrong thing. That I ought to marry you. I wanted to arrange with you about Daisy. How we could tell her without hurting her too much. I was heading toward your window when I saw her. Strangled with a bog oak necklace.
What have you done with it?
Exactly what you planned to do. Because no woman would have the strength to do it. I had rope in my rowboat. I tied stones to the body. Rowed a bit into the river with it. Dropped it overboard. The plan works, you're safe. If it doesn't, he'll die. And I'll go to prison. I'm going now. The moon is down already. Soon it will be dawn.
The necklace. What did you do with the necklace?
I left it where it was. Around her neck.
That sound, the sound the necklace makes. I have heard it every night for 40 years. 40 years. Now she's come back to us. To me. Tell me, Andrew, where was it found?
She's been there, at the bottom of the river all this time.
Oh.
During the flood last year, the skeleton
Must have been swept into that old sewer. Twine probably rotted away a long time ago. That's the only explanation I can give.
Watching. Down there at the bottom of the river, watching.
I'm going now, Emily. It's probably the last time we'll ever see each other. I'll leave the necklace with you. It was to you I gave it 40 years ago.
Emily.
What's that?
What?
The voice. Her voice.
I'm going.
Don't leave me, Andrew. Don't leave me.
He'll leave us, Emily. He'll leave the two sisters alone. Together.
Andrew.
We're alone now, Emily. Just as we used to be. You and I and the necklace.
No.
Come, Emily, let's take a walk as we used to. In the old apple orchard.
No.
Come. It's getting dark.
No, I've not been near that orchard in 40 years.
Come, Emily. With me.
But I'm old.
No, you're young. As young as I am. Come with me. We'll tell each other little secrets, won't we, Emily? Just as we used to.
Yes.
The crickets will be chirping and the moon coming up. All as it used to be.
Yes.
And you'll be wearing your necklace. The bog oak necklace that Andrew gave you when he thought he loved you instead of me. You'll wear it the way you used to when you'd steal up there to the orchard to meet him. Remember? When he used to roll to the bottom of the hill and wait for you, and you could stand in the orchard until you heard him whistle.
Yes.
Emily.
Yes.
You've forgotten something.
Forgotten.
The necklace. The bog oak necklace.
Oh.
Wear it, Emily. Dear Emily. Wear it. Come, Emily, come.
I can't run as fast as I...
Come, Emily, come. He's waiting.
Yes.
Listen.
Oh.
Andrew's whistling for you. Answer it, dear. Go on.
I can't whistle. That's strange.
You must run faster, Emily, faster. Oh, you must run so much faster. Through the apple trees bending beneath the branches. He may not wait. Listen. He's angry with you because you're keeping him waiting.
All out of breath. These apple trees. The branches, they're in my way. I can't bend over.
Faster. He may run off with Daisy.
No. I'm coming, Andrew. I'm coming. Wait for me, Andrew. Wait for...
Oh, that necklace. Emily, you caught it in a branch. Turn around, Emily. Turn around. And loosen it. Turn quickly, Emily. That's the way my voice sounded one night long ago. When I wore the bog oak necklace. When I, too, was strangled by the bog oak necklace. Come, sister. Come. It's so cool here in the river.
Tell me your answer true. Who gets choked first? Me or lovely you? If you'll be the first to strangle, I'd appreciate your angle. And when I learn that it's now my turn, I'll gargle as nice as you.
What awful words to sing to such a nice song.
Oh, but listen, I sing so well, and I can recite, too. Shall I recite you something suitable? Say a Mother Goose rhyme, huh?
Mr. Raymond, you don't know any Mother Goose.
Is that so? Well, I know one that you love. Listen. Polly, put the kettle on. Polly, put the kettle on. Polly, put the kettle on, and we'll all have tea.
Well, that's fine. Only I hope Polly makes sure that it's Lipton tea.
Naturally.
But I suppose there's little doubt that she'll use Lipton. Because, after all, more people drink Lipton tea than any other brand. The reason for that is Lipton's famous brisk flavor. Yes, Lipton tea is never flat or insipid. It always tastes full-bodied and vigorous. And, well, I guess it's all summed up by that word brisk. Yes, folks, brisk is the word that the tea experts use when they talk about Lipton tea. So try it real soon, won't you?
They say... Of course, I just tell you what the gossip is in the morgues I visit. They say that Daisy and Emily can be seen almost any moonlit night. Skull gently touching skull, floating through the old apple orchard as of yore. If you'd like them in your home, you could use their ration coupon. Outside of rattling a bit when the wind blows, they're very nice and companionable, especially on dark nights. And in the summer, you can always use them for scarecrows in your victory garden. By the way, this month's Inner Sanctum Mystery novel is The Outsiders by A.E. Martin. Well, now it's really time to close that there squeaking door until next week at the same time when Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup will once again bring you another Inner Sanctum Mystery produced under the direction of Hyman Brown. So until then, good night. Pleasant dreams.
Folks, I wonder what our grandmothers would have said if they had heard about Lipton's noodle soup. I'll bet they wouldn't have believed it possible that a delicious chicken noodle soup could come ready to make in an envelope. But if they'd tasted Lipton, they would have agreed that it has an old-fashioned, homemade flavor, that it tastes just like the kind of chicken soup they used to make themselves. And Lipton is economical, too. It costs less and makes more than canned soups. So, folks, be sure to try Lipton's noodle soup. And be sure to tune in next Tuesday night for another Inner Sanctum Mystery.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.